All right, let's dive into a topic that's pretty essential to life, and that is water.
Absolutely.
We all know that we need to drink it, but have you ever stopped to think, like, just how much water is in your body and what it does for you? So today we're going to be exploring that, looking at a really fascinating TED Ed video called "What Would Happen If You Didn't Drink Water?"
No?
And spoiler alert, it's not a pretty picture.
Okay.
But more importantly, we're going to uncover some surprising facts and finally answer that question that's been plaguing humankind.
hmm
How much water do we really need?
Yeah, it's so easy to take water for granted, I think, especially
Yeah.
when we have such ready access to it. You just turn on the tap and there it is.
Yeah.
But understanding your own internal, like, water world,
Mm-hmm.
it's not just really interesting, but it's vital for your health and well-being.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, well, let's start with this, okay?
Okay.
The average human body
Okay.
is 55 to 60% water.
Wow.
That's a lot, right?
Yeah.
We're basically like a walking, talking water balloon.
That's a good way to put it.
And babies are even wetter
Oh, wow.
at around 75% water, which makes sense, I guess, when you think about it.
Yeah.
They spent 9 months.
In the womb.
Yeah, essentially swimming in amniotic fluid.
It's incredible to think about, isn't it? That, like,
Yeah.
all that water is not just, like, sloshing around in there for no reason.
Right.
I mean,
Yep.
this high water content is really critical for a whole bunch of different bodily functions.
Yeah, I mean, it's like our bodies are these really complex, finely tuned machines, right?
hmm
And water is kind of like the essential lubricant that keeps everything running smoothly.
Yeah, it cushions your joints. It helps regulate your body temperature. It transports nutrients to vital organs
Hmm.
like your brain and your spinal cord. I mean, water really is the ultimate multitasker.
So it's not just about like the water in our blood, like our
Mhm.
organs themselves are pretty soaked too, right?
They are, absolutely. Each organ has a varying percentage of water, which I think is so fascinating.
Yeah.
For example, the brain and the heart are about 73% water. About
Wow.
the same as a banana.
So if I'm feeling like foggy headed, I just need to eat a banana.
Maybe, yeah.
Just kidding.
There you go. But that's a great way to visualize it.
Yeah.
What about other organs? Do
Uh,
they have, like, their own fruit counterparts?
well, your lungs are even wetter,
Okay.
coming in at around 83%, which is similar to an apple.
Wow.
And get this, even your bones, which seem so solid and dry,
Right.
are actually 31% water.
That's wild. It really highlights, I think, how crucial water is to every part of us,
Yeah.
even down to our bones.
Hmm.
But if we're, like, basically made of water, why do we need to constantly, like, replenish it?
That's where the concept of, water loss comes in.
Oh,
You're
yeah.
constantly losing water
Right.
throughout the day through various bodily functions.
We lose water through sweating,
Mhm.
going to the bathroom,
Yeah. And even just breathing.
even breathing.
Yeah, that TED Ed video mentioned we lose like 2 to 3 liters of water daily.
It's a lot.
It's a lot. No wonder we're so thirsty.
Yeah, exactly.
So that constant loss is why replenishing those fluids is so important.
Right. It's all about maintaining that balance
Yeah.
between water intake and water loss.
Right.
And when that balance is disrupted,
Yeah.
that's when you start to experience dehydration.
Yeah, and that's where things can get a little concerning, right?
Yeah.
The video described like our body's early warning system for dehydration.
Okay.
Our brains can actually sense when water levels are low,
Ugh.
and they trigger the release of antidiuretic hormone or
Yeah.
ADH. Can you tell us a little bit more about what ADH does?
Sure. So ADH acts on your kidneys,
Mm-hmm.
basically making them reabsorb more water back into your bloodstream.
Okay.
This leads to less urine being produced,
Mm.
which is why your urine gets darker when you're dehydrated.
Right.
It's your body's way of, like, trying to conserve water
Yeah.
when it senses a shortage.
It's like your body's trying to hold on to every precious drop.
Absolutely.
It makes sense, right? Our bodies are so smart
Mm.
that they would like evolve to have this system in place to help us when we're
Yeah, it's a survival mechanism.
yeah, when we're in short supply.
Yeah.
But if you ignore those early signs
Well,
and
what?
continue without rehydrating, dehydration can become
Right.
progressively worse, right?
Definitely.
What are some of the things that can happen when
Mm.
dehydration sets in?
Mm.
It's more than just feeling thirsty.
Yeah, you start to feel tired and irritable. Your skin might become dry.
Mm.
Your blood pressure might drop. And get this,
Okay.
your brain function
Yeah.
can actually be impaired.
Whoa, seriously. How does like dehydration affect our brains?
Well, a dehydrated brain
Mm.
actually shrinks temporarily due to the lack of water.
Oh, wow.
So it has to work harder to perform even basic tasks.
Oh.
I mean, think about it. Our brains are primarily composed of water.
Yeah.
So it makes sense that even minor fluctuations in hydration can have a noticeable effect.
Yeah, it's not just about like physical discomfort. It's impacting like our cognitive function, our ability to think clearly and
Yeah.
make decisions. It really makes you appreciate how essential water is for our mental well-being too.
Yeah.
But I'm also curious, is there such a thing as like having too much water?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
And yes, while we've been focusing on the dangers of not drinking enough water,
Mm-hmm.
it is important to remember that overhydration, which is also known as hyponatremia,
Okay.
can also be a serious health risk.
Yeah, that's a good point. I think we often hear about the
Yeah.
importance of staying hydrated.
Right.
But it's just as important to understand that there are potential dangers of overdoing it.
Yes.
What exactly is going on in our bodies when we overhydrate?
Hyponatremia typically happens when someone drinks a very large amount of water in a short amount of time.
Mm.
And this can actually cause your brain to slow down or even stop releasing that antidiuretic hormone that we talked about earlier, the ADH,
Okay.
that helps you conserve water.
So instead of holding onto the water, your body starts
Yeah.
flushing it out too quickly.
Exactly. And when that happens, the sodium electrolytes in your body
Okay.
become diluted,
Mm.
which can cause your cells to swell.
And that sounds pretty serious. What are the consequences of that?
Well, it can lead to a range of symptoms, including headaches, nausea, vomiting.
Wow.
In severe cases, you might even experience seizures or coma.
Wow. It really is like this delicate balance, isn't it?
It is.
Too little water is dangerous, but too much can be
Yeah.
just as bad. So how do we find that like sweet spot,
Mm.
the right amount of water for our individual needs?
That is the million-dollar question,
Yeah,
and it's a question that we will explore
right.
right after a quick break. Stay with us.
We'll be right back.
We'll be right back. That's a question we all want to know the answer to,
Mm.
right? And you've probably heard that classic 8 glasses a day rule.
Yeah.
But the truth is a
Yeah.
little bit more nuanced than that.
Yeah, I was wondering about that.
Okay.
It seems a bit arbitrary. Like, wouldn't somebody who's really active
Right.
or lives in a hot climate
Yeah.
need more water than somebody who's more sedentary
Yes.
and lives in a cooler environment?
You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
Individual needs
Mm.
vary based on a whole range of factors like your weight, your activity level,
Right.
the climate you live in, your overall health, and even your age.
So while that like 8 glasses rule might be a good like starting point for
Yeah.
some, it's not a one size fits all solution.
It's not, no.
How can we like figure out what's right for us individually?
Well, a good starting point is to pay attention to your body's signals.
Okay.
Thirst is your body's natural way
Yeah.
of telling you that it needs more fluids. But there are other subtle signs too, like dry mouth, fatigue, or even a mild headache.
Yeah, those are good things to look out for. But are there like any general guidelines that we can use to like get a sense of how much water we should be drinking?
So, based on current research,
Okay.
the recommended daily intake
Mm-hmm.
is about 2.5 to 3.7 liters for men
Okay.
and 2 to 2.7 liters for women.
So more for men than women.
Slightly more for men, yeah.
Yeah.
But again, those are just averages.
Right.
And your individual needs might be higher or lower.
It sounds like listening to our bodies and being mindful of our individual circumstances is key
Absolutely.
when it comes to hydration.
Yeah.
Are there any like practical tips for making sure that we're staying adequately hydrated
Sure.
throughout the day?
Absolutely. One of the simplest and most effective strategies is to keep a water bottle with you at all times. Having water readily available makes it much more likely that you'll sip on it throughout the day.
Yeah, I think that's a great tip. I know I'm definitely more likely to drink water if I have it like right there on my desk or in my bag, out of sight, out of mind,
Exactly.
as they say.
Yeah, and it doesn't have to be plain water either.
Mm.
If you find plain water a bit boring,
Okay.
try adding some flavor with like slices of fruit, herbs, or even veggies.
Ooh, that sounds fancy.
Yeah, cucumbers and mint are a refreshing combination.
Yeah.
Or you can try strawberries and basil for something a little sweeter.
Yeah, that sounds delicious. It's like a little spa treatment for your water bottle.
I like that.
What other strategies can people use to boost their hydration game?
Another helpful tip is to make hydration a part of your daily routine.
Oh,
For example, Start your day with a glass of water
Okay.
before you even have your coffee.
Mm-hmm.
It's a great way to set the intention for the day and get a head start on your hydration goals.
Yeah, I like that.
Mm.
It's almost like a little ritual, you know,
Yeah,
to kickstart your day
right.
and remind yourself to prioritize hydration.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And you can also build in water breaks throughout the day.
Mm.
Set reminders on your phone or computer to step away from work for a few minutes and rehydrate.
Yeah.
It's a great way to break up your day
Right.
and ensure you're consistently meeting those fluid needs.
Yeah, those little reminders can be so helpful, especially when you're like caught up in work and
Yeah.
hours can go by without even realizing you haven't taken a sip of water.
Right.
Yeah.
And don't forget about meal times.
Okay.
Make it a habit to have a glass of water with every meal.
Mm-hmm.
Not only does this help with hydration,
Right.
but it can also aid in digestion,
Mm.
and it can even help you feel fuller,
Yeah.
which can be helpful for managing your weight.
That's a great point. Sometimes we mistake thirst for hunger. So having water readily available during meals can help prevent overeating.
Absolutely.
And speaking of meals,
Mm-hmm.
we can't forget that food itself can contribute to our daily fluid intake, too.
You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
Foods like fruits and veggies are naturally packed with water.
Okay.
Think watermelon, spinach, cucumbers.
Mm-hmm.
They're not just nutritious,
Yeah.
they're also hydrating.
Yeah. I love that, like, incorporating hydration into our food choices.
Yeah.
It's like a 2-for-1 deal.
Absolutely.
Nutrients and hydration in every.
Yeah. And don't underestimate the power of soups and broths.
Mm.
They're a delicious and comforting way to boost your fluid intake,
Yeah.
especially during the colder months.
Yeah, all of these tips are so helpful.
I think so.
I think one of the biggest takeaways for me is the importance of being mindful and proactive about hydration.
Yeah.
It's not just about reacting to thirst, it's about making this conscious effort to stay ahead of the curve and ensure our bodies are consistently getting the fluids that they need.
I completely agree.
Yeah.
And beyond just the immediate benefits
Mm-hmm.
of feeling our best and avoiding dehydration,
Right.
there's a growing body of research
Right.
highlighting the potential long-term
Oh, okay.
health benefits
Yeah.
of proper hydration.
Now, that's something I'm really interested in learning more about.
Okay.
We talked about the dangers of dehydration and overhydration,
Right.
but what about the positive impacts of staying properly hydrated over
Yeah.
time?
Okay.
What can you tell us about that?
Well, studies have shown some fascinating links
Okay.
between optimal hydration and a reduced risk of developing certain health issues.
Okay.
For instance, research suggests that staying well hydrated
Mm-hmm.
might lower the chances of having a stroke.
That's huge.
It is.
Strokes are a leading cause of disability.
Yeah.
So any steps that we can take to reduce our risk
Yeah.
are so important.
Absolutely. Yeah. And it doesn't stop there.
Hmm.
Proper hydration seems to play a role in managing diabetes as well.
That's interesting. I know that people with diabetes often experience like increased thirst and urination.
Yes.
But I hadn't really considered the connection to
Yes.
overall hydration.
Mhm.
How does that work?
Well, it makes sense when you think about it.
Okay.
When blood sugar levels are high,
Mm-hmm.
the kidneys work overtime trying to filter out that excess glucose,
Okay.
leading to more frequent urination and greater water loss.
Mm-hmm.
So staying adequately hydrated
Mm.
is especially important for people with diabetes
Yeah.
to help their bodies function properly
Right.
and manage their condition.
So by staying hydrated, we're essentially giving our kidneys a helping hand.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And there's even some promising research
Okay.
suggesting that optimal hydration
Mm-hmm.
might be linked to a reduced risk of certain types of cancer.
Wow, that's incredible.
It is.
I had no idea that something as simple as drinking enough water could have such a powerful impact
Yeah.
on our long-term health.
It really highlights how fundamental water is to every aspect of our well-being.
Right.
It's not just about quenching thirst. It's about supporting every system in our body,
Yeah.
from our brain to our kidneys to our cells.
You know, I think we often take water for granted.
Yeah.
It's so readily available for so many of us that we forget, its incredible power. But after diving into this topic, I'm definitely seeing water in a whole new light.
That's great.
It's not just a drink. It's essential for our physical and mental well-being.
I agree. I think this deep dive has been a good reminder for me as well
Yeah.
to be more mindful about my own hydration habits.
Me too. But beyond the health benefits. What really struck me from that TED Ed video was the impact of hydration on how we feel and function day to day. It mentioned that even mild dehydration can lead to like energy dips, mood swings, and even cognitive impairment.
Absolutely.
It's amazing how much like our mental clarity and emotional state can be influenced by something as simple as water.
It is remarkable, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, think about it. Our brains are mostly water.
Yeah.
So when we're dehydrated, it's no surprise that our mental processes can feel a bit sluggish.
So, like, that afternoon slump might not just be because of a heavy lunch.
Exactly.
It could be a sign that you need to refill your
Could be,
water bottle.
Right.
And on the flip side, staying adequately hydrated can help you feel, like, more energized, alert, and focused.
Absolutely. Like giving your brain the fuel it needs to perform at its best.
You know, when I'm feeling, like, sluggish or have a headache, sometimes a big glass of water is all it takes to feel more like myself again.
It's amazing how such a simple act can make such a big difference. And it's not just about feeling better mentally.
Right.
Proper hydration also impacts our physical performance. Athletes, for example, rely on adequate hydration to maintain their energy levels, their endurance, and even their body temperature regulation.
And as we learned earlier, they're also at a greater risk for overhydration.
Yes.
If they're not careful.
They are.
It really is all about finding that balance.
Indeed. Finding that sweet spot is key.
Right.
But for most of us, simply paying attention to our thirst cues and making a conscious effort to drink water throughout the day is a great place to start.
Okay, so we've established that staying hydrated is crucial for our physical and mental well-being, both in the short term and long term.
Absolutely.
But let's be realistic. Life gets busy. We're running around, juggling work, families, social lives.
Right.
How can we make sure that we're actually getting enough water without feeling like it's another chore?
That's a great question, and I think it comes down to a combination of planning and mindfulness.
What are some like practical tips that people can use to like elevate their hydration game without it feeling like a burden?
Well, we've already touched on a few key strategies like keeping a water bottle handy and incorporating water-rich foods into your diet.
Right.
But let's delve into a few more specific tips that you can easily implement into your daily routine.
Okay, so we've got our water bottles ready, snacking on watermelon. We're setting those hydration reminders. But before we wrap up our deep dive into the world of water, I'm curious to hear more about those long-term health benefits you mentioned earlier.
Okay.
Can you elaborate on how staying hydrated can actually like improve our health over time?
Absolutely. We've talked a lot about the importance of hydration for our, day-to-day functioning.
Right.
But the long-term implications are equally fascinating. Research suggests that proper hydration could play a role in reducing the risk of chronic diseases. Like heart disease and certain types of cancer.
That's amazing. It really underscores how crucial water is to our
What?
overall well-being, you know?
Yeah.
It's not just about quenching thirst or avoiding headaches. It's about taking care of ourselves for the long haul.
Absolutely.
Can you give us like some specific examples of how hydration contributes to these long-term health benefits?
Sure. Let's start with heart health.
Okay.
Staying hydrated helps maintain healthy blood volume, which is essential for efficient circulation.
Right.
When you're dehydrated, your blood becomes thicker, making it harder for your heart to pump it throughout your body.
That makes sense. It's like trying to push thick syrup through a straw.
Yeah.
It takes a lot more effort.
Yeah.
So by staying hydrated, we're essentially making our heart's job a little easier.
Yeah. And this can have a significant impact on your cardiovascular health over time, potentially reducing your risk of developing high blood pressure, heart attacks, and strokes.
That's incredible. It's amazing how something as simple as like drinking enough water can have such a profound effect on our heart health.
It really is.
What about the connection between hydration and cancer?
Well, research in this area is still ongoing.
Okay.
But some studies have suggested a possible link between optimal hydration and a reduced risk of certain types of cancer, particularly bladder and colon cancer.
That's really promising.
It is.
Can you explain how hydration might play a role in cancer prevention?
Sure. So while the exact mechanisms are still being studied, one theory is that proper hydration helps dilute potential carcinogens in the urine, reducing the time they're in contact with the bladder lining. Similarly, staying hydrated can help promote regular bowel movements,
Right.
which can reduce the risk of colon cancer
Okay.
by limiting the time that waste products spend in the colon.
So it's like we're literally flushing out potential toxins
Yeah, you could say that.
and keeping things moving smoothly
Yeah,
within our
keep
bodies.
things flowing.
It makes you realize how powerful a role like water plays in maintaining like our internal environment.
It really does. And beyond those specific conditions,
Yeah.
proper hydration is also crucial for maintaining healthy kidney function, regulating digestion, and even supporting healthy skin elasticity.
It seems like water is involved in just about every aspect of our physical health.
I know. It really is quite remarkable.
It's truly remarkable.
And I think what's even more remarkable is how often we underestimate the impact of something so readily available.
Right.
You know, we often focus on like complex diets or exercise regimens,
Right.
but sometimes the simplest things like drinking enough water can have the most profound effects on our well-being.
Absolutely. It's a powerful reminder to like appreciate the simple things and prioritize those like foundational habits that support our health.
Absolutely.
Yeah, this deep dive has definitely been a wake-up call for me. Like closer attention to my own hydration.
Me too. And I hope our listeners are feeling similarly inspired to elevate their own hydration game.
I think they are. We've covered a lot of ground today.
Yeah, we have.
From the science of hydration to practical tips for staying properly hydrated.
Right.
We've debunked myths, explored the dangers of both dehydration and overhydration, and learned about like the incredible long-term health benefits of making water our best friend.
Absolutely.
What a journey.
It's been an enlightening journey.
It has.
And for our listeners who want to like explore this topic further, I highly recommend checking out that TED video we mentioned earlier.
Yeah.
It's a great visual companion to our discussion and delves even deeper into the fascinating world of water and the human body.
Yeah, I second that recommendation.
Okay.
It's called What Would Happen If You Didn't Drink Water? And it's available on the TED Ed website and YouTube channel.
Right.
So be sure to check it out for even more amazing insights and some pretty cool animations.
And before we sign off,
Okay.
I want to leave our listeners with a final thought.
Okay.
We've talked a lot about how much to drink, and practical tips to stay hydrated.
Yeah.
But I think it's equally important to connect with the why.
Right.
Why does water hold such a profound influence over our well-being?
That's a great point. It's easy to get like caught up in the practicalities.
Yeah.
But taking a moment to appreciate the bigger picture is where the real like aha moments happen.
Exactly. And what fascinates me is that water isn't just like passively filling space in our bodies. It's actively participating in virtually every physiological process. It's the solvent that dissolves and transports nutrients, oxygen, and hormones throughout our system.
Yeah.
It helps flush out waste products, keeping our internal environment clean and functioning optimally. It regulates our temperature, lubricates our joints, and even cushions our organs.
It's like water is the unsung hero of our bodies.
It is.
Working tirelessly behind the scenes to keep everything running smoothly.
I love that. It really is.
Yeah.
And when we understand the vital role that water plays in our health and well-being, staying hydrated becomes more than just a chore or a habit.
Yeah.
It becomes an act of self-care, a way of honoring our bodies and nurturing our overall vitality.
That's beautifully said. I think that's the perfect note to end on. So to all our listeners out there, here's to raising a glass of water, of course.
Absolutely.
To our health and well-being.
Cheers.
Stay curious, stay hydrated, and we'll see you next time for another deep dive into the world of knowledge.
Until then, cheers to hydration.
Yeah, maybe I'll treat myself to a nice, refreshing cucumber mint infused water to celebrate.
Okay.
It's like a little spa day for my taste buds.